Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Find and Follow podcast, where we are all about helping you find and follow Jesus in your everyday life. Scott and Kyle, your hosts, back today with, I want to say guest, but not really guest, but I guess a guest just because it's first time on the podcast.
Yeah, first time here.
Yeah, but
long time first time.
Hey, Bob from Philly, you calling it. So Brent Mowery is on the podcast today. Welcome aboard, buddy.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad you're here. So I'd say that because you've been on the team now since January. March.
Yeah.
See, so I was surprised by that.
Yeah. You was hanging around for a while before that.
Yeah, I was hanging out.
Yeah, you feel like you've been family for longer than that. How about that?
Yeah.
All right.
It's like when, someone brings their boyfriend for a little bit longer or their fiance before they're married. It's like, yo, we've seen you for a while. And then it's actually official.
Now you're like
family.
brother-in-law. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Great analogy, right?
Great analogy.
we were all loving it. So Brent's on the podcast today. Yeah. So you're gonna share a little bit of your story.
Yeah.
But
So
then,
you say he's on the team. Did you say what he does on the team?
no.
I'm just
Okay.
here.
Yeah. What's your gifting, Brent? Before
Yeah.
you're like what you do on the team, like what do you think your gifting is, like from God?
My gifting?
Yeah. Like when you say, oh man, this is my sweet spot. This is what I'm good at.
Yeah. I have a passion for letting the next generation know who Jesus is and what he has in store for their life and sharing the good news to youth and young adults. And so I'm here as the youth and young adult pastor on staff, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, it's been good. A few months here since
months.
March. It just seems longer. I don't know. I don't know if my brain is getting older or if it's like the COVID
Everything's getting
hangover.
older. It's not
where-
just your brain. It's
Okay.
your body, too.
I do feel that at times. My left hamstring was real tight today. It's like, man,
It
that
wasn't
hurts.
even cold or raining. Do your
It's
joints like...
blustery. I mean, the weather's just changing. Okay, us old people, and the weather changes.
May have like pushed a little too hard working out this last weekend.
Okay.
When you feel like you got a race coming up and you're not quite as prepared as you'd like to be. You
No,
cram
I don't
it.
know that feeling.
I don't do
Yeah,
triathlons.
I've never done a race.
You ever have a school assignment or project, you didn't quite work on it through the timeline, and then you get like a couple days before, you're like, oh, we got a lot of work
Well,
to
that's
do.
the only way I ever did school
Okay.
projects.
Procrastinate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you pass.
That's how I preach still. I was like, I got to preach on Sunday. It's Saturday afternoon. Should probably work
should,
on that.
should finalize
That's
that.
not true.
That's not true at all.
That's not true
That
at
isn't
all.
true.
People are listening like, whoa, you're pretty good at that then.
No, that's not true at all. I couldn't do that.
No, this last week, you felt like you were a different gear this last week. Maybe just getting more sleep lately or just more fired. You seem more fired up than
Yeah, I mean,
the last couple months guys have had a baby.
yeah.
Life turns upside down, flips
It's
it
very
inside
different.
out.
Yeah, I think just for me, this was one that, I don't know.
You didn't feel like it was a different gear?
No, yeah, I did for sure. I don't know why. I started the sentence thinking like, I know why, and then I'm like, I don't know why.
It wasn't like
The 6 hours of sleep.
it could be the sleep, but also sometimes just the topic or what you're just feeling in your gut
Yep.
or something.
Yeah, I think the last 2 weeks for me were just like, again, 2 weeks ago, I kind of shifted gears and preached something that I wasn't planning on preaching because I felt like this is really what God had. And then this one as well. I've known that this was going to be the one that I was talking about for a while. So maybe it's simmered a little bit longer in me and set on me. And that's probably one of the reasons that
Yeah, it wasn't just Saturday day.
it
before.
definitely wasn't set. That was, weeks and months of obviously pre-paternity leave. I knew I was going. And so, yeah, simmered on it. I read the story, unpacked the story deeper than most of the times I would unpack a story. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that's just, I think people understand that listening in. It's just like everything else in life where sometimes you're just more excited about doing the work that day, or it's just a project you're more interested in or feel more suited or capable to tackle. Same with when it comes to teaching and preaching.
And season of life, right? There's, think of your work and the things that you're like, I was this season in this not just the project or the work of it, but like I was just more motivated or whatever it is. And so for us, what God's doing in our personal life, where we're at, just coming out of camps and doing these things and seeing, for me, I think one of the gears was, my transition for the last couple of years, being out of youth ministry, my wife and I were a little emotional this summer, not, like being completely removed from camps is different, right? That's been.
Did you guys have some tears?
Did we?
Yeah.
We did not.
Oh, two become one. Let's go with
okay,
we.
then yes, we did. Then us collectively did.
Oh, it's big time.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That's
I mean, not even the last, for us 11, 12 years on staff as youth pastors, but I mean, 15, 20 years of our lives have been summer camp every year. Our anniversary is July 10th. We haven't celebrated our anniversary for the last 13 years because we've been at camp.
not this year.
Not this year. We went out to dinner. It was the first date night we took without Harper. We weren't even a month in, and we got babysitter. Grandma and Grandpa came over.
Not even a month. You were 10 and 9. You were like less than 3 weeks.
Yeah. It was
Less
great.
than 3 weeks old, and you got out on a date night.
Yeah.
I mean, you should write a book.
I know, man.
How to date night with kids.
We got priorities, man.
There are
so.
people who are like listening who maybe like, we didn't go out for like a year, 18 months.
Oh, yeah.
Our kids were like in preschool before we had a date night.
Oh, yeah.
In
That's
Walmart,
not-
going shopping is not a date night, people.
No. No, we got
don't
out
lower
just
the
the two
date
of
night.
us, restaurant walking around. Yeah, it was great.
Good job. Way to go. That should inspire some people. They should just quit listening to the podcast right now, get a dinner reservation, or just go take a walk along the beach. I mean, you can do stuff for free. All right, I'm getting fired up.
So anyway, that there's a lot of emotions there, not having been involved in the camps, not being part of that, but still hearing how awesome Brent did with the students. I mean, we had more students this year than we've ever taken to Fusion Camp, and then I was, removed from kids camp, but we brought Harper to kids camp every night and we're watching and participating. So just seeing God move in there always stirs in you, fires you up. And so seasonally, it's just, I get re-energized like, hey, let's do this. Our students get to that. And so bringing that on Sunday morning to the adults, like, man, God's got so much more, and let's jump on the train.
Mm-hmm. I was just talking to a student yesterday. She grew up kind of in and out of church and being part of stuff, but last night at summer camp, she officially gave her heart to Jesus. She said she's finally opened up and surrendered. And she's a graduated senior. She's, been years of hearing about the good news, and for whatever reason, being at camp this year, she was like, yeah, I just wanted to legit open up my heart and surrender fully to God. And so, yeah, camp's was awesome, and it's been cool. So, yeah, it's different when it's been your rhythm of life and now not. So it's good. I mean, it's good you showed some emotion, and I mean, you care. I know you care. We're just having fun. Because it is powerful. It's meaningful. There's some special moments that happen when you get away. So Brent, talk to us about just a little bit about your story, how you found Jesus when we have quote unquote guests on.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear your story.
Yeah. So I was born in San Diego, moved to Spokane when I was just about to be turning 10. I'm a Navy brat. My dad was in the Navy growing up, and we got transferred up here for him to join the reserve unit up here.
So what do you remember as a kid, growing up in San Diego? What was that like?
It was fun. Just being 20 minutes from the beach growing up, spend the weekends at Disneyland, went to Legoland as a kid. That's always fun to build Lego cars and race them, and just growing up around all these amazing attractions. And being a military family, we got discounted tickets, so we were able to do multiple at a time and then go to the beach and not really have to worry about weather changing so much. It was just always nice. Had a pool growing up, and it was great.
Yeah, the weather. What's the weather in San Diego? 72.
If you're close to the coast, yeah. But
Yeah.
if you go inland, you
You can get to the hundreds. But
Yeah.
yeah, for the most part, you're like, what's
But
the
it's
weather?
consistent, yeah. It's
It is.
300 days a year, you're like, what's the weather in San Diego? It's 72, probably going to 75.
yeah. And there's occasional
Let's see what Siri has. It is legit 72.
Oh my
There you
goodness.
go. I didn't even look
Prophecy.
it up. You know what it's
Word
gonna
of
be?
the Lord, knowledge right here.
You know what the high is
knew.
today?
You knew.
75.
Oh my gosh.
Wow,
With
really?
a low of
Give it up for
66.
Scott.
There you
Alan
go.
Langhans
Man,
right
that-
here, ladies and gentlemen.
that's
We are in
my-
the presence of greatness.
That's my spiritual gift right there.
The weather.
Dude, and you just
Numbers,
proved it right there.
weather, and ETA on a road trip, I can get you within like 2 minutes.
I do that to my wife all the time. She hates it when she'll we'll have a conversation and she'll respond to me and I know exactly what she's gonna say because we're married. I go, babe, I'm
'Cause
prophetic.
two become one.
Yeah, I go, I'm prophetic. She goes, shut up, you're not prophetic, and that you just know me so well. It's like, no, it's prophecy from the Lord. I know, like I literally knew word for word. I'm like, the Lord told me. She's like, stop it, it's not the Lord.
A lot of people know. My mom grew up in San Diego. My grandparents lived there. So I got some insider information. Yeah.
That's still pretty good. Exactly. I mean, it could have been 71, 74. I mean, that's
No, I surprised myself.
So anyway, growing up in San Diego.
Yeah.
So there's a reserve unit for the Navy like at Fairchild?
It's over by Joe Albee.
Oh.
It shares
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
reserve unit with the Army.
I haven't been up there in a while. But yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah, and Navy's got a presence in Ponderay.
and, yeah, my
at
dad
Bayview,
actually did
Oh, yeah. The
security
the submarine.
at the submarine base and was up there for a bit.
Yeah, there's some
At Bayview.
hush hush stuff going on up there.
There
for sure.
is. Yep.
It's pretty cool. If you've ever
Yeah.
been out there,
Super
seen
cool.
the subs.
So
So you guys move up to Spokane,
Yeah.
Washington.
So not long enough to become like a surfer. Like
No,
as a
the-
little kid, you're not really out surfing.
not really. I
Yeah.
just did a lot of sand castles, like digging holes in the sand, trying to see if we can fill it up with water with the tides coming in and
Make the hot tub, the beach hot tub.
yeah,
Beach.
just having fun and yeah. So we move up here. Had my 10th birthday right when I moved up here. Didn't really have friends, so it was just more of a family gathering. A little bit backtrack. I was born hearing impaired, so I had to wear hearing aids growing up. And then I had cancer at the age of 4.
What kind of cancer?
It was a basal cell skin cancer. It was on my left shoulder, and I was the youngest person to get that type of skin cancer in all of San Diego County at the time.
That's because that's really young to get skin cancer, right?
Yeah,
That's
and
unique.
that type is usually common in more elderly. And this was 1999, 2000 when this happened. So I don't know if someone beat me for that title.
I don't know if it's a title you really want to
It's
have.
no,
but
I got it.
But you got it,
But
right?
I got it.
Did you get like a belt, like a
Stop.
WWF style belt, or a trophy?
Ribbon.
Did you keep some of the skin? In
Yeah,
the
it's in a
jar
Ziploc,
with a label.
Yeah, with the date and year and
That's fun.
yeah,
No.
So the hearing impaired part,
yeah.
like, what was that like growing up?
So
And how, like, when you say hearing impaired, like, what does that mean? How
the smallest
impaired?
bone in your ear, the stapes bone, when I was born, was pressed up against my eardrum, so I couldn't get the vibrations I needed in my left ear. And we didn't know until I was in kindergarten. I just passed school, like preschool, first year of kindergarten, because I did kindergarten twice, just by watching everyone and just, oh, this is what we're doing, and I'm just doing it, and I passed.
So you could not hear it all out of your left ear, or a little bit.
I missed almost half the conversation or what was being taught. So when we found out, the teacher had to wear a microphone, and it went to a speaker box on my desk. And this was like pre-hearing aids. And it was fun because if my teacher didn't turn off the mic and had to leave the classroom for a bit, we could still hear the conversation she was having in a different classroom.
That's fun.
So everyone was like, Brent, turn it up,
Yeah, some spy stuff.
Yeah, it was great. And then I think in second grade is when I got my first pair of hearing aids. And they were weird. But all my friends knew about it, and they knew, and were just like, oh, he's got them on.
Yeah. And you were able to hear 100% then?
Yeah.
Cool.
And it was weird. I was like, oh, so this is what the ocean really sounds like. This is what the car sounds like. And I could hear someone from across the room that I couldn't before. It was just like, oh, this is what hearing is.
Yeah, that's got to be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just a whole different experience to life.
Yeah.
In the world.
Have you seen those like YouTube videos where like babies or young kids put them on, hear their mom for the first time or something, they're like all weeping, or
Yeah.
the parents put them on, or older people, and they're like, that's what my daughter's voice sounds
Mhm.
like, right, and all the emotions and stuff with that.
I've
But
seen those, but also like the colorblind glasses.
Yeah,
People
those
seeing
are
color
fake.
for the first. They're
we
fake.
try. I mean,
We
I tried.
so Kyle's colorblind, and then my dad is colorblind. Same.
Oh.
And so, 3-4 years ago, we got him for a message series.
I think it was like we were gonna do it for like Easter or something like that.
I think
I
it was
mean,
like
I
a
don't know.
Christmas,
So they-
like seeing
they don't
clearly.
work?
Remember? Or no, 2020.
Was it 2020?
Yeah,
That was
remember
one time
that?
ago. That was like, yeah.
It's kind of off of with JT whenever he came
Yeah.
out with 20. Anyways, so I bought a pair because it was like a refund if it didn't work, and they didn't work for either of them.
Really?
It improved like maybe 10%.
And there's so many different kinds of colorblindness,
Okay.
right? And so and I have astigmatism. I think your dad might have astigmatism too.
Probably.
And so they're like, yeah, it's less likely to work here. And ours was kind of one of the ones that was like, it might work. Like if you have this kind, it's really, going to work. And it made things like it popped things and made them more vibrant a little bit.
Mhm.
But it kind of just looked like, I don't know, putting on like polarized sunglasses when you like look at your phone or something, and it's just like kind of weird. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, that's
There
what
was
color
no
this is.
weeping and tears. Like we had the video
Okay.
cameras out.
we got
we
all
were
that.
ready for the magical transformation.
They send you with like bright colored balloons that you're supposed to blow up so they could see, and it was like, yeah, it still looks like a balloon. I don't know.
Muted colors. You said on the grass. I remember you could see a little more tone differentiation between blades of grass. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, is there different like colors of green out there? Like, yeah, there always has been. Where you would see more of one color across. Yeah. So yeah, my only reference is I try to go the opposite sometimes and put my noise canceling headphones on when my kids are being loud and like I don't want to hear and I just hear like muffled or nothing. So you got kind of have this new experience,
Yeah.
like relearning the world a little bit.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
So fourth grade ends. We move here, and I was the new kid. Had hearing aids on. I was different, and then what I thought was going to be normal, kind of like flipped, all of a sudden, and like just getting picked on, bullied right away.
You're saying normal, like you're just gonna
Like-
keep like you had friends down there,
Right.
Gonna be just same here.
Same, like,
okay,
oh, he has hearing aids. Okay, move on. But like when I moved here, it's like you're the new kid. You have something weird in your ear. Let's pick on you. And that's when it just flipped 180. And I was like, whoa, was not expecting this. And I didn't really think of it as much. I was in elementary school still, and I was just like, okay, whatever. And then sports has always been my outlet. Either it was football, soccer, or baseball. It was just my way to have fun and forget everything, just what was going on. And then when I'm living here, I went to school with these kids and I played sports with these kids. So everyone still knew who I was, and I was getting picked on. I was that kid. So my outlet, my safe haven was gone also in sports. So it was just this constant like bullying, picking on me.
what about finding Jesus and your family? Is there
Yeah.
faith involved in all this?
Yeah.
Is your family following God?
So grew up in a Christian home, went to church growing up, but I didn't really make it my own. It was just, oh, my family's going to church, So I go to church. I knew of God. I knew what he did. I, went to Sunday school, heard the stories. It wasn't until middle school and high school it started getting bumped up and started just riding a roller coaster of emotions and what I wanted to make my own. Got into a bad habit, bad group in middle school, early high school. Got into bad stuff, and just felt empty inside, no worth at all. And there was a big moment of rock bottom that I hit, and it was at that point.
How old were you then?
I was just finished my sophomore year of high school at that point. And I hit rock bottom, what I thought was rock bottom, and was like, I need to change my life. And my mom was there, and she was like, hey, you're going through a lot of stuff. I know it can be challenging and difficult, but God still loves you. And at that moment, I was like, yeah, God does still love me. He forgives everything that I've done. I just need to fully accept his invitation and accept him into my life. So it was that moment that I did. And then everything changed, and I started like understanding my purpose and my sweet spots, my giftings, and it was great.
Yeah, so back up a little bit. I mean, we're obviously kind of condensing everything into a short podcast form. So you're struggling with issues, right, growing up, and dealing with issues that kids go through, and then teenage issues, and maybe compounded by a few different factors of moving and being the awkward kid or the outcast kid for whatever reason. And so you're kind of struggling to find identity in who you are, find identity in this church thing that's part of your family life. Mm-hmm. Is it part of who you are? Is it not? And find out who you are, where you fit in, all that kind of stuff. And so then you mentioned things start happening where you're trying to do that and identify that. So in those moments, you mentioned you got into some bad stuff and all that kind of stuff, and you can go as deep or as shallow as you want. But what were those things that, why do you think it was that, again, because I think we fast forwarded over some, that was like bullying, awkwardness, trying to find identity. What was it in that season that you found yourself trying to drive down, or did you feel like you were trying to solve problems of the awkwardness or the bullying or the outcast, or just trying to find your identity in these things, and it led you down a road to what was, as you said, rock bottom? And dive into that a little bit more on what that was like.
Yeah. I found my identity in sports a lot, so I did whatever I could to fit in with the athletes. And that meant partying, drinking, like all of this. And it just, I would wake up and do it again, wake up. It was just on repeat. And nothing good was coming out of it. There was no fruit. It was just, I'm not who I am. I was being what they wanted me to be, just so I could fit in. And doing so, it kind of drags you down. And I got tired of being picked on, trying to do whatever I could to not be picked on, to whatever extent it might have been at that time. I was doing it so I wasn't being picked on. I was just part of that group picking on someone else, trying to deflect my stuff onto someone else. And it got tiring, and I got bogged down, and I didn't want to really be here. It was like, there's no point of being here at that. I was just like, every day was a struggle. Every day was just getting by.
Was the tiring part more of like trying to be that fake person?
Yeah, it was.
Is that the tiring part?
Yeah, and it was just being that fake person and doing whatever I could do to be a chameleon, basically.
Yeah, which is a tremendous amount of work.
It is.
To always trying to read the room, read the person. Who do I got to be? What do I got to like this or dislike this? Or, we're in on this thing right now. It can be real tricky. And then the other thing I know, like just personally too, because everybody has some level of who am I? Through middle school, high school, am I accepted? Am I approved of? Everybody goes through that. And I know for me, it's taken a long time, but you realize, man, if I'm being somebody I'm not, then people approve. They still don't like me because I haven't shown up yet.
Right.
So, and they don't really dislike me because I haven't shown up yet. Like, it's not me there. And so being more okay with just being me. This is who I am. And not that we're not growing and changing and becoming more like Christ, but showing up. Then people can go, oh, I like you. Like, yeah, or not,
Right.
because you're actually there. So you're going through this season, and you said before it was like, you thought it was rock bottom. Were you just saying it was rock bottom? But
As like a high school,
yeah, perspective
right,
now,
yeah.
you look back. But it
Like-
was legit the rock bottom for you in your life up to that point.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. And it still was serious.
It is.
Yeah. And so you have this pivotal transformational moment with your mom's there. You're saying you really truly turn your life over to Christ.
Right.
And then what begins to happen as you are growing and moving forward the last couple of years of high school there?
Yeah. So after accepting the invitation of Jesus, I started making newer friends, trying to get out of that crowd, because that's also a process too of trying to like leave and just cut it and burn bridges, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Go against the flow. It's tough.
Right. Go against, yeah. So started going to youth group with my high school friends, and just understanding there's a community out there that accepts me for who I am, and these people will love me for who I am, and if I mess up, yeah, they'll pick me up. And it was a community, and it was different people coming together instead of conforming into one giant blob. Basically, there's no different in that blob. It's just gray. And it was amazing. And then after junior year of high school, I get baptized. And that was a year process of, wrestling, of like ups and downs, going back into temptations, and trying to figure out, oh, well, I gave my life. Why are bad things still, happening? And get baptized on August 5th after junior year. And immediately, like 2 weeks later, I fall back in, and I'm like, what is going on? And I just didn't have that full grip and concept of all of it yet. And then it was my grandpa who was like, it's going to be a bumpy journey, and it's going to be okay. You just got to persevere and pray about it and stay connected, stay pursuing Jesus, and he's going to bless you in the end. And I was like, okay, here we go. And then senior year, I get asked to go down to San Diego at San Diego Christian College to try out and just be part of the team for baseball-wise.
Oh, okay. I was thinking like puppetry or
No, yeah.
Drama.
It was actually for miming.
shadow puppet. Oh, miming. Oh,
Yeah.
Right next to, I was thinking juggler. No, so baseball, like that's
Baseball.
big. Like,
Yeah,
as far as sports go, you kind of gravitated towards baseball
did.
through high school, and you're
Yes.
pitching, first base.
Pitching, first base.
Yeah.
So go down there for a few days, and at the end, walking back to the car to head to the airport, coach stops me and my grandpa, who went down with me, and was like, hey, you're going to get your letter of intent in the mail in like 2-3 weeks. And I was like, oh, this is for real now. They're offering me a scholarship. So, okay, now I need to figure out what I want to study if I'm going to college, And at the time, I really wanted to go into ministry. But something happened where I was told I would never be in ministry. So I was kind of bitter about it. So I was like, I'm just going to do what every sports person does, and I'm going to go kinesiology, be a physical therapist and a personal trainer. So I went my freshman year as a kinesiology major, and God very quickly showed me science is not my thing at all. I was failing my.
Yeah, I say through the. It's usually God speaks through like coursework and like studies. You're like, I don't like this at
No,
all.
yeah,
I don't
like-
want to put effort into this.
He was like, "Science is not for you, dude." I'm like, "Okay, sweet."
Message received.
Yeah, right.
I'll go back to pitching.
Yeah, and I spent a month praying and just seeking guidance and counsel of what my next move is, and just going through my life and my passions. And they're like, "Well, have you ever thought about ministry?" I was like, "Well, yeah, I have, but then this happened, and it kind of got to me like, oh, maybe it isn't for me and all that." And they're like,
You just had someone speak those words to you.
yeah, it was a youth leader at my youth group, and I had very confidence and respected the guy, and when he said that, I was just like, oh, maybe you're right.
And was it? What was he speaking to there? Was it behavioral, or was it just like?
It was behavior. I've messed up at a youth gathering, and he was like, there was anger towards it,
Yeah.
and I
yeah,
think-
just an immature response to a situation.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, out of frustration and anger. Gotcha.
And probably just disappointed in me, and like, hey, I saw so much in you. Like, now you're doing this. Like,
That's
do
not what-
better.
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I had that. I was probably around the same age, like junior, maybe even senior year of high school, and like headed towards ministry. And I had someone pretty close to me, and she was like, "I don't think you'll make it," because I was pretty quiet. Like legit in college, like God unlocked more of my voice. There was an internal confidence that came from the Holy Spirit, but she was just like, "Yeah, I don't think you're gonna make it because you're just too quiet." And like from the outside, like pretty reasonable, for someone to say that. But
Nah, I'm not reasonable. I sit here. And
no,
I'm like,
no.
what?
From her perspective, to go, yeah, if you're gonna be like a teacher, preacher,
I know,
like
but-
you're pretty quiet.
I don't know if I would ever tell anybody they're not gonna make it.
No, was it right or is it healthy? I'm not advocating like, oh, I'm glad they said that. Like, obviously, stuff sticks with us.
I get from that
25 years
perspective.
later, I'm like, I can go back to the house in the kitchen, like where we were standing,
Where it
like,
happened.
Oh, right where it happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, and in the moment, I was like, no, just you're fine. Like one
Yeah,
day
good.
we're gonna have this worldwide podcast thing with a lot of words to be had.
I can't imagine you're not. Maybe she was trying to tell you, hey, you're gonna make it, but maybe slow down on the talking there, pal.
No, it was different level. I was much quieter, more internal.
I mean, again, I get it, but I don't know. And I think of the kids that I've went off on in my youth ministry career. Like I've had to go back and be like, bro, sorry. Like you really pushed some buttons there. And I was out. I mean, I've yelled. I mean, I remember like taking some youth ministry class and reading books. Like never yell at a student. I'm like, I yell all the time at students. They're not gonna listen to me if I don't yell at them.
There's also it's subjective. Like there's a different level of yelling.
Yeah.
And my kids were like, "Dad, quit yelling at me." I'm like, "Oh, I'm not yelling. Well,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
talking loud and I'm commanding the room right now. But you have not actually seen me yell
But
like
that-
at you ever."
That definitive, like, nah, dude, you don't got what it takes. Man, I just think that's BS. I think that's a lie from the enemy. I don't think there's anybody who's too far gone who doesn't have what it takes. That's the power and the grace of Jesus Christ. Like,
Right.
No, like Jesus can bring life out of death. I think he could bring words to a quiet kid. I mean, Jesus can redeem situations. I don't care what you've done. Jesus has used people in prison to make amazing, we have some youth leaders that are like, bro, if I would have met you 15 years ago, I would have never let you step foot in this building leading a kid, and now you're loving on kids because Jesus changed your life. So,
Yeah.
and I get it, but I don't. I'm like, dude, get out of
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Like if I would have heard someone say that if I would have heard a leader say that to a kid at our youth group, I would have been like, whoa, nope. Like Jesus can use anyone.
Yeah.
Yes, did they have some work to
Yeah.
do? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, did what they do was wrong? Did they screw up? For sure. But we can't kibosh what God's doing in people.
No, and you're like, okay, you're 16 or 17. Okay, for the next 70, 80 years, God can't use you.
Yeah.
Is
Yep.
what you're trying to tell people.
Yeah.
Like, and I get it. It's an emotional, immature response
Right.
to a situation, and I've had plenty of those. But God does stuff. I remember my sophomore year in college, God unlocked like there's just a new freedom to preach the good news in the sense of like I got freed up from really worrying about what other people thought of me and concerned with their opinion, and more just like, and my folks even noticed, like springtime sophomore year, and they're like, you're different, and it's just the supernatural work that God did in me. So, but that didn't slow you down. So you go to
No.
college,
So, yeah.
mostly to play baseball,
Mostly you play baseball, yeah.
but they make you go to these classes.
right.
So then you have this moment, you're like, okay, what I'm praying for a month,
Yeah.
figuring out like, okay, God, what
It
do you want me
was-
to do? Go back into the ministry track, right?
Yeah, so it was a month process, and
You already had learned how to use an ace bandage at that point.
I did. I was really good at like
I-
wrapping
Some tape.
ankles and
I
like,
feel like that's all they teach in those classes.
It was
Like,
great.
Here's how you wrap an ankle.
but it was the
doctors of physical
memorization
therapy
of,
are like rising up out of their chair. They just quit mowing the lawn. They're like,
Sorry.
they're headed your way,
You're
Kyle.
smarter than me.
509
after
954.
they taught you how to
wrap an
wrap
ankle.
an ankle,
Yeah.
you're like, nah, this isn't for me.
This isn't for me. Memorizing how many times you go around or whatever. Yeah, it just
Yeah,
No,
and
it's-
you need 4 years to learn about like Jesus loves you, follow him. Like that's what you need 4 years for
Ice
that.
pack
To
and
talk
ace
about the good
bandage.
news of Jesus, buddy. John 3:16. Just say that one over and over.
Romans Road got that.
I got you, PT people.
right. So yeah, after the month process, I was like, okay, I'm gonna change it to ministry, and now I need to find emphasis in what I'm doing. And I was like, my passion is youth and that next gen, and like, so I called my mom. I was like, hey, I'm changing my major. She goes, oh, you are? Yeah, I'm thinking of going into like youth ministry. And she was like, it's about time. I was like, oh, so you knew? She goes, yeah, you just had to figure out on your own. I was like, but you could have saved me a whole semester, like, of failing classes, you know? So, changed my major to biblical studies and emphasis in youth ministry, and finished out the college career there, and did internships with a few churches down there, and learned a lot. Those were phenomenal. It was great. Had a very embarrassing intern moment at a very traditional like Baptist church doing communion, and that was great.
Man.
That
You
was
just
great.
shared this. It must have been a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah,
my
to
kids
you.
came home and were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, Brent did communion." They told me.
Yeah,
they
it was-
loved
I haven't heard this story.
Oh yes. So, doing communion, and
You're an intern
I'm an intern.
at the as post college or during college.
This is during college.
Okay.
But you say
And-
traditional, but you're like suit and tie,
Like, yeah.
Right? Type
Yep.
church.
So I was in
it's-
slacks, a button up.
all the way to the top type.
Yep.
Yeah.
And our pastor was going somewhere. We had our other pastor speaking, and they were having me do communion. And because I wasn't a pastor, they had to pray over the elements of communion. And we put the pastor on speakerphone. And he's praying over
the head
elements.
guy's gotta do
Yeah,
it,
the
even when
head
he's
guy's
not
got to
there.
do it.
He's anointed.
Yes. And it's on my phone, and I'm holding it over the elements, but the screen's down, like directional prayer, like
That's where the sound's coming from.
Right,
This
right,
is where
right.
the Shekinah glory is coming from pastor on the phone.
Right,
Through
right.
the phone.
and like a
Okay.
thought was like, what if I flip the phone up and the screen was pointing up? Is it like gonna count? Is it not gonna count?
Pointing towards heaven.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
he's talking
right.
to God.
Like-
yes, very.
So praise over the elements. I go up there, and I'm just nervous. First time ever doing it. And it's the big cup of juice that I have and a big piece of bread. Everyone else
Like
has
like a loaf of bread.
yeah, it's a loaf of bread.
Is this where, like in Catholic Church, where you give them the cup and they drink out of it?
No, they
Okay.
have their individual cracker and juice still, but
but yours is like just
yeah.
the
It's like a prop. You got to exaggerate it when you're up front, so it's got to see it from the back.
right.
So you get the big things, the one that the pastors prayed over.
Yes, yes, yes. So I'm going through it. No one tells me to break a small piece of bread off. So I take this big chunk. It's like, this is the body of Christ broken for you.
Get
You
a
know,
sandwich loaf.
No one told you because they looked at you like he's
Like,
an adult.
he's got it. He's
He
gonna
should-
figure it out.
He's in college. He should know how to like eat.
Yeah, yeah. So I have a bigger piece of bread than everyone else. And
You're also like college student. You're like, I'm always hungry.
I'm always hungry. This is free
And
food.
it's
No.
like fresh baked body of Christ.
And so I throw it in and I'm chewing it and everyone else is done and they're just looking
Yeah,
at
with their
me.
small little wafer
Yeah.
that dissolves the second it hits their tongue.
And I'm like, okay, I need to hurry up. So I'm chewing faster and faster, get it into a wad where I think I could swallow it, right? And I swallow it and it gets stuck right about
Oh,
here,
no.
okay? And I'm struggling. And I had I had a mic hooked up right here.
The lapel, yeah.
So it's picking up every disgusting sound that I'm trying to make to get the body of Christ back up. Okay? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to be the first person ever to choke on the body of Christ. And like, it was just embarrassing. And without hesitation, I grabbed the cup of juice. And it was a big, like, chalice-looking cup. And I just start chugging it.
Wait, before you
like,
haven't
I
set
didn't
up-
say anything.
You haven't.
No. No, I'm like, I'm choking.
You're
I got to
choking
get
to
this
death.
down. Okay?
That's awesome.
And I'm drinking it, and I get it down, and I just all of a sudden realize what I just did.
And now we're in public. And
Yeah, I'm on stage. I put the cup down. I was like, once again, saved by the blood. And everyone started laughing. And that was my first ever communion.
wow.
That's a good ending line, though. That's 10 out of 10 on that one.
Perfect landing.
So-
It's like,
For sure.
Just crash.
I mean, it was a fiery mess, but
Yeah.
you
And
somehow
then-
skidded
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
to the ground. So did
Was it like Saved by the Blood, set down and like leave? You were done.
That was it.
as a
Okay.
walk out?
How do I like,
Did people just start taking the juice when they saw you chugging it?
dude?
to stay
Honestly,
alive?
I don't know.
Yeah. His only focus was stay alive and don't choke.
You just left the people to themselves. They'll figure
Oh,
it
man,
out.
that's
But I
good.
remember there was this old lady in front when I was choking. She was praying for me.
She's not gonna do anything.
You're like, I don't need prayer. I
People
need
were
Heimlich.
laughing, but
Heimlich.
all of a
Come
sudden
give me
I'm
the
just like,
back.
I look, and this old lady in the front is praying for me, and I'm like, okay, is this how I go? Like, I don't know.
Oh,
It was
man.
embarrassing.
That is embarrassing.
It was great though.
That's one of those moments that really emphasizes. I'm gonna just kind of leverage your story and try to make a point here. That when like you're up front, whether it's in like a meeting of some kind in your work, or at a family function, and you want to say a few meaningful moments before you guys eat, or up on stage or somewhere like church or whatever, that like people are rooting for you to do good.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to sit there and be watching someone stumble through, it be awkward, choke to death, it be embarrassing. Like you start to feel that
Yeah, you feel
awkwardness
it.
as a participant. So when people get up on stage, whether it's for like a baptism moment or share their story, I say it all the time for baptism, like everybody out here is rooting for you, not just on a spiritual level, which they are, that's the major. But they're also going, we don't want to watch awkward. We want it to be meaningful, helpful. We don't want awkward communion moment. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny stories to tell. I'm sure people that were
Oh,
there,
yeah.
they retell, this one young kid.
that
one
young
time.
intern we had.
He's not
that-
here
Do
anymore.
you remember his name? What was that kid's name? He almost died. But people are really like, you go somewhere and someone's struggling through, you're like, I just want you to do better, man.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for you. I'm on team whoever right now.
Right.
So you've had these intern moments. You graduate. You move back. You got. Well, you
Yeah.
married.
You met the-
We didn't even.
I
we
met-
didn't even.
yeah, I
we
didn't even-
start
like,
with.
what's-
You have a wonderful.
I
wife,
have a wonderful wife and
Yes.
an almost 2-year-old daughter.
right.
In September, 9/11, she turns 2.
Now, do you guys mostly go Emmy or Emerson? What do you call it when you're at home? You're
It's
at the
Emmy.
park. Emmy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Emerson and I are like best friends.
They
No
are.
big deal. So.
You're tight.
Like,
Yeah, we're-
they get here. They get here on Sunday, and she goes, "Where's Kyle?"
She does ask for Kyle a lot.
Yeah,
She
we're-
does.
We're
Did
homies.
you slip her some candy?
No, we're
No.
homies. I have
just-
that effect on people.
You usually don't have that on kids
That's
Mi-
true. That is true.
because this new dad thing's working out. I guess
I
for
was
you.
even before my daughter was born. When Emerson would come to the office, she
Yeah.
needs to come to the office sometime when you hang out.
Yeah.
But yeah, she I don't know. She just likes me.
Yeah.
She just
You're-
gets it.
You're the guy.
Brent just told her like, "Hey, yo, that's my boss. Can you butter him up a little bit? Make sure he likes you, so
Right.
he keeps
Help us
me
out.
around for a while."
Right? She's the cutest.
Oh yeah.
And then you got
We got one
Michaela.
on the way.
Okay,
also.
yeah.
And
You got-
Michaela, my beautiful wife.
And you guys met
We met at college.
at college because she's from San Diego.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And somehow convinced her to move to the Northwest.
yeah. So it was funny because I told her where I was from, and she goes, "Well, I've like before she even met me, she wanted to either move to Oregon or Washington." So it was like, "Oh, sweet." So it was already in her
So are
head.
we gonna do this or what? So
Like-
sounds good. I'll make it happen. Make
Right.
all your dreams come true.
It was fun.
Yeah, and you got one on the way, Brent Jr.
You think it's a boy, do you?
Oh, okay. Well,
We don't find out yet. We don't know yet.
all right. You check. Let's check
thinks
back
he knows
in.
these things.
in a few
Yeah.
weeks.
I hated when people when
Fi-
I
it's
talk
50-50.
when I talk to these people. There's so
You're not
many
wrong.
people.
These people.
There were so many people, and I have a feeling. Get out
Do
of
you?
here.
There's no feeling.
No,
You just
all,
have hope.
all of the old wives out like is a high heart rate, low heart rate.
Yeah.
Do you like chocolate or potato chips? Like, what are you craving? Like,
Right.
How are your hormones? Are you sleeping? Nobody. Come
No,
on,
but you
nobody
meet
knows.
these people, these people like Scott, who goes, "Oh yeah,
It's a boy."
No, I'm really good at these things. Yeah, you know what I'm really good at? Flipping a coin. I get it right so often. Like I just was like, in church, it happens a lot in church lobby. You just like, yeah, thanks for the input. I'm just like thinking, get out of here, lady. Get out of here, dude. You don't know what you're talking about.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Couple weeks away.
Right.
Couple
But-
weeks.
So
away.
we
Yeah,
find
so you
out.
gotta find out. You got
end of
one on the
August.
way.
We find out.
So you meet your wife in
Yeah.
college.
Yep.
You're
And I was like, "Oh, she's pretty cute. I like her. Let's make a move." And then
marry her
like
and
a
make her
month
dreams come true.
later, she has a boyfriend. I was like, I got to step back, you know? And then we started hanging out. We like continued our friendship. And then that boyfriend left, and I was like, "Okay, I can tell her now. Like, hey, I like you." And she goes, "You're just a friend." She friend zones me. And I was like, "Oh no, okay." And then like 2 weeks later, we start dating. And then
the rest is history.
yeah,
So how long you guys been married?
this September will be 4 years.
Okay. Right on. That's fun.
Yeah.
And so you moved back here.
Yep.
And you took the job, right? Or
It was.
you what prompted the move back? I guess.
I've always liked Spokane. Just like the trees, the lakes. I just like the environment. And it's a lot cheaper than San Diego.
Right.
So there's that.
Yeah, and your family's here.
My
Kayla's
family's here.
family's San
Yep.
Diego. Yeah.
She got a job right away, lined up for when we moved here. I did not still. And I reached out to some churches, gave them a resume, and then I got pointed to Real Life on the North Side. And it was a 7-month process there, and got my first youth pastor position there, and was there a year and a half, almost 2 years, and it was great. I learned a lot at my time there, and it was fun.
Yeah, and then kind of COVID, right?
Yeah.
It disrupted all of that.
It did.
Yeah. So, and then you've really been hanging out since last fall, like last November at Fusion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I get lost in the timeline again,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it
it's been quite a while.
November or December?
December, somewhere in
Yeah,
there.
it was November, December-ish. You were hanging out. Yeah.
Checking it out and
Yeah, I just
Getting to
never
know
left.
leadership.
Yeah, probably just. Yeah, I don't.
So how
really
did you
know.
guys end up at Mission Church? Was it the interest in the job,
So
right?
it was cool because when this was Marabou Chapel, this was my family's first church we went to when we moved to Spokane. So I knew of the church already, and it was Faith Brown, a family friend of ours, was like, "Hey, a position's opening up." She was talking to my mom, "Hey, Brent would be awesome. Like, he needs to go for it." And we were in this season of trying to find a home church as a family. And I was like, "Hey, this could be a possibility." And Michaela's like, "Yeah, let's go for it." And we started hanging out and started meeting with Kyle and getting to know his vision and him, my vision, and who I was and how that ties in. And it was awesome. It was a great blessing for my family and our household and for our daughter. And Brent Jr. and in the years and
Oh, look at there. I
like
got him on board.
so
Yeah, super fun. And when you guys moved here, you were in the valley, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you lived quite a few years in the valley, and you had
We
last
moved,
year
like-
bought a house, right? In the
yeah,
valley
we bought a
before?
house last September.
Yeah.
I mean, September is your guys' month, huh?
Yeah,
What you do when you do things?
I guess.
Yeah. Super fun.
Yeah.
And then now you got this passion that kind of stems from your story a little bit to
Yeah.
help students not go through what you went through.
Do you find that we've talked about this a little bit, but I find this having done youth ministry for so long, I think that there's just this special connection for those pivotal moments that we have in our faith journey, right? I didn't know the Lord. I didn't grow up in a house, but I had a pivotal moment as a middle school student. So there was something in me that wanted to minister to middle school students and high school students who were in that phase that I'm like, I want you to know Jesus because someone showed me Jesus when I was that age, right? And so for you, that evangelistic part, which you mentioned in some of your giftings, but also that like, I don't want you to get to the point where you got that rock bottom. I don't want you to hit that point. So I want to help you and show you the love of Jesus before you even get there. So do you think there's a huge connection between your story and the things that you went through and then like using that and shaping that into why you do ministry for that age group?
Yeah. They're in such a important part of their journey and their walk of trying to figure out who they are, how they fit in, who is God and what He's been calling them to and what He has for them, to help guide and navigate through these challenging years, to be, hey, this is who Jesus is, and this is what He calls us to, and this is how we should live, and the benefits and just the fruit that comes with that is so much better than what the world has to offer. And it's so easy for us to get sucked into society and the norm of society. But, He calls us to be different, and it's okay to be different, and it's fun. It's fun to be weird,
Oh, yeah.
So good. I mean, for all the parents out there, and they get this, like I've always told students that they're making the choices that are determining who they're going to be for the rest of their life. Like middle school and high school is so pivotal that's like anybody who I hear who says like something like, oh, you're just figuring yourself out, you're sowing your wild oats, you're doing these things. I'm like, no, you're making decisions that are defining the type of person you're going to be at that season more than ever. I think as kids kind of were, kind of just out there and being goofy and figuring it out. And we're not really even making that many decisions that are, determining a lot of our foundation for our life as much. But like anybody I run into is like, yeah, as a kid, I just did. I'm like, no, you don't understand the effect that has on your adulthood, your friends, your relationships, your belief system, your foundation. And so, man, even as parents that are listening, the more that you could help your students and your kids understand that, hey, the decisions you're making are lifelong decisions. They're sticking with you. And the more you can instill some of those Jesus type, this is how we love, this is how we treat people, this is how we behave, because that's what Jesus did. It's going to, long into the future determine quality and direction of students' lives. So love it.
Yeah. So thanks for helping our students, young adults, make all those awesome quality decisions, instill some of those serving habits and loving people well, and just as you're getting going here, because, yeah, most students, I think, ever to summer camp for Fusion this summer, and just some quality stuff, not just the quantity, but some quality, cool. And that's because of, previous leadership setting the stage.
Obviously.
And then, the other thing is so probably should put a little more of a wrap on the hearing aid thing, like the hearing impaired. Like people now, if they weren't aware, they're going to be like, wait, they're looking in your ear.
I don't.
Do you have microscopic ones?
You dropped that.
Invisible?
I did.
You dropped that on us, in the interview process. I remember because again, for those listening, he was hanging out in December, and I mean, we went through a lengthy process to make sure that you felt like a fit, and we felt like it was going to be. So we're going through multiple interview processes, and you dropped that late, oh yeah, by the way, I have some hearing impairment, and it's a little difficult for me, and even in this meeting, I'm like, what? I had no idea. We've been hanging out for a month or two, and so it's obviously still part of your life, but you've adapted. And,
I have,
and it's part of your story, but it's part of how you interact now. So yeah.
Just through the whole bullying and process of that, I stopped wearing hearing aids, and just as the years have gone, hearing aids are expensive, and I learned to adapt without them. So I read lips, but let's say like you and I are having a conversation, and Kyle walks between us. I miss what was being said, half of what was being said when he walked past us because I can't see the lips. So it's just more intentional.
So it's one ear, just your one ear?
It's mostly in my left and very slightly in my right.
So what's your like percentage in your left ear? Are you like half or less than half?
Like that I can hear?
Yeah.
It's less than half.
Okay, wow.
It's almost full. Like
So you
maybe
almost
80%.
You almost can't hear at all out of your left
Mhm.
ear. Huh.
Yeah.
It's just I adapted, and now they're expensive, and I have other
Right. They look a lot.
priorities.
I'm sure they look tremendously different than when you
they
were
do.
12 and 13 years old.
They were
They're not-
bulky when I
Yeah,
was
Oh,
a
big
kid.
big
over
and
the ear.
clunky.
Like it was over the ear, tucked behind the ear. and-
Yeah. Yeah, so they're real obvious. Now they can get real small,
Right.
discreet, and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, it's like buying a used car for
Yeah.
a pair of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Absolutely. Okay. So I don't know. People might be like, "Wait, what? You guys never like finished that that storyline?" And they're like, "Wait, do I need to yell when I talk to Brent?
No,
Like,
no.
Can I
just
be
normal conversation.
Just normal, like get on the good side."
I'll make sure if I'm having a conversation I can't hear him.
Yeah, you're.
I'll move and I'll
moving
be
around.
like, okay.
Looking at the people.
My grandpa did that forever. In his old, he was a trap shooter, and so shotgun, and so
Mhm.
his right ear was his bad ear because for most of his life he'd been shooting a gun in his ear, and so he would always do the whole thing, right? Like turn D, like what, and turn his ear to, or make sure he's on the good side. And I always remember, like, why does Grandpa do that? Oh yeah, he can't hear out of that ear.
Can't hear.
Like if someone wants to tell me a secret and whisper and they go to this, I'm like, no, you have to use this one.
You gotta look.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
gonna start
Can't.
whispering things in your ear, like, hey, Brent,
What?
and just in that.
Give me
ear.
that like old school like funnel.
Oh yeah,
You
like the
know,
old guys
yeah.
would be like, "What's that?"
What was that,
Wake
Sonny?
That's funny. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for being a
Yeah.
guest. Next time you're on the podcast, maybe not as a guest, probably. So
A reoccurring.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We'll see how it works.
Yeah.
You just schedule, and you got lots going on. And Wednesday nights are fusion nights, so it's always later. And then
I
the
never
turnaround.
came in early.
You guys had your leader meeting last night.
Yeah.
A little later.
I heard you had a
so-
really good guest at the Tonight Show. Is what I heard.
Yeah.
Oh really?
I,
It was
that's-
this-
I just heard through the rumor.
It was this old guy,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean, I
just
heard-
coming back, and
beyond his years, but man, wise.
Wow.
Wow. Get out is what I heard.
he
I mean,
called out
it was
the
like-
students. It
I
was
heard.
great.
I heard best ever. I think was going around.
It was like a reboot.
His
It's
name
like-
was Kyle or something like that.
I don't remember what. I didn't hear his
Carl.
name.
Carl?
I just heard. I think I heard best ever in
Colin.
there.
It was it was a C, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Best-
I don't know.
Best ever fusion this week. Yep. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I heard it was the best ever August.
So good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being on, sharing your story, and thanks
Yeah.
for helping lead our students, young adults, and helping them find and follow Jesus. So
Yeah, thanks.
hopefully you had something that was encouraging for you today, listening in, or maybe a little challenging. Yeah, and just be on the lookout, I think, for all of us, for these young people and the words we can speak in the moments, in the encouragement, and how the negative things stick, but more than that, how the positive things can stick and speak life into people. And you just never know what really sticks, how God uses our impact and our encouragement in what God wants to do in people's lives. So thanks for tuning in. Have a great week following Jesus. We'll talk with you next week.